Hi, welcome to Clear Process Solution WebTips, or we call it CPS WebTips. My name is Julie Toll. I'm a senior process developer here at Clear Process Solutions. And today I'm just going to quickly go over in Winshuttle Form and Workflow how you can use a SharePoint list for dropdowns. We're going to be creating it from Excel and importing it into SharePoint. So some of you may know that you can hard code drop-down values in your Composer solution. However, today we're going to show how you can go from maybe having a list in Excel to then putting it in SharePoint and then putting it into your form. If you don't need it in Excel, that's fine. You can skip that step and just create it directly in SharePoint. Now, the best time to use a SharePoint list for your drop-down values versus hard coding them in your Winshuttle solution is when you have more than 5 to 10 values. I say more than 5. Some people might go up to 10. Another time is if your form drop-downs are dependent on another one. So let's say you're trying to create a country and state drop-down, which is what we're going to demo today. And your state, you don't want to list all the different states. You want it based on whatever they selected for their country and only list states in that country. So it's a good time to use SharePoint data connections for those, as well as if you have a dropdown that might be changing a lot, maybe you're adding values, removing values, they're changing the names of them, then I would suggest it's best practice to then use a SharePoint list because you can update those without having to republish your solution. So let's just jump right into the demo. Also, I just wanted to let you know we do have stuff at the end for contacting our team. Okay. So here's my solution. It's just a simple customer information form where a customer can enter their name, street address, city, and postal code. And then I have 2 drop downs here, one for country and one for region. And right now they just say option 1 and 2 because I haven't created the values. So if I go into my solution and I go to my form tab and I click on these, over on the right under properties, as long as you have the element type as a drop-down, you should have a field called range. If you click where these 3 dots are, you can open that up, and this is where you'd hard code your drop-down values. You can put what the label is, and if you want the value that might be input into your system to be different, you can put that here. What we're going to do is instead of hard coding, we're going to do a data connection. But first I have to create the SharePoint list and then create the data connection. So we'll do that next. I'm going to click cancel. I have an Excel file already ready to go, and it's on my desktop. And I created it. It has country, country description, region, or you might call it state, the description. And then I also added a field where I put the 2 values together, and that's what our user wants to see for their state region dropdown. So now one of the tips is you need to save this, but you also need to close out of it before you import it into your SharePoint list. So I'm just going to close it. And then I go into Internet Explorer. You're going to go into your foundation site, and then wherever your form is going to be saved. So if you have a specific spot in your foundation for your forms to be saved, that's where you'll go. You'll click on Lists over on the left navigation. And then you'll go to Add an App. You'll click that. Now, if you wanted to hard code your SharePoint list and skip the Excel part, you can just click Custom List and build your columns and data that way and do it manually. But I like to do stuff in Excel because sometimes it's a little easier for me, especially when I'm trying to concatenate fields like we did with region. So you'll scroll down and you'll hit the over button until you see this import spreadsheet. It has little X. I'm going to click that. And now I have to give my list a name. So this is the name that your SharePoint list is going to have. I'm just going to call it CPS WebTips Demo. You can enter in a description. It's not mandatory, but I'm just going to copy paste. And then this is where I'm going to go import my Excel file that I created, that I just closed. So I called it WebTips Demo. So I'm going to open that. And then I'm going to click import. Now this is going to open that Excel file. That's why it needs to be closed. And then this little pop-up's going to come up. And you can pick from this drop-down how you want it to pull the data from the Excel file. I always say range of cells. If you have it as a table and you have it named, or you named the group, you can use these other ones. But if you just click range of cells, then under select range, I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to kind of move it over so you can see. I'm going to scroll to the top of my spreadsheet, and I'm going to grab all 5 columns and all the data. So I have 108 rows. And so that's the range that it's going to import into this SharePoint list. I'm going to click import, and it's adding records down here. And then it will pop up and show me what my new SharePoint list looks like, and it has all the data here. So I didn't have to type it in or manually do any work with it. And I gave it the same headings as well that I had in my SharePoint list. So now I'm going to go back to my Composer solution, click the Solution tab up at the top, and under Data Connections over on the right, I'm going to right-click and click Add a Data Connection. Now for this, the name says it's required, but I'm going to leave it blank, and I'm going to click under Type on this drop-down, and I'm going to look for the SharePoint library or list. Because every time they open this form, I want these drop-down values to be there, I'm going to click Automatically Retrieve Data when form is opened. And then this is where I need to put, where did I put that SharePoint list? I put it the same place where my forms are, so this should be filled out if you've deployed the form yet. So this is where mine is. I'm going to click that, and once I click that, it's going to pull in all the lists that I have. And I'm going to look for the one I just created, which was CPS WebTips Demo. Then at the bottom, it's going to pull in all the columns. I can uncheck them if I don't need them, but I'm going to leave them all checked and click OK. So now I have my data connection, as simple as that. Then you go to the Form tab again up at the top, because now we need to add that data connection to our drop downs so that instead of it saying option 1 and 2, it actually lists the values from my SharePoint list. So I'm going to click on the drop down. I'm going to go back over on the right here under Properties to the range, and I'm going to click on these 3 dots again. And now instead of entering it manually, I'm going to click From Data Connection. You can either click Add here or just click from the drop down, and it's going to pull in all your data connections. So for this solution, I only have one that I just added. For the label field, I'm doing country. I want it to have the description so the user sees that. But in the background, instead of it saying USA or United States, I want it to say US. So I'm going to just pick my country column that had just the 2-digit country code. I'm also going to check the show unique, only unique label fields, because again, I have Canada listed multiple times here. I don't want it to be listed multiple times, so I'm just going to click that so it only grabs one, and it will only show Canada once. I'm going to click OK. And then for region, I want it dependent on what they select under country. So I'm going to click on that drop down, do the same thing under properties, go to range and click on the 3 dots. I'm going to pull in a data connection. I'm going to grab it, same data connection. Now, if I had created a country list and then a separate regions list, I would have to pick a new data connection, but I put them together because they're dependent on each other. Now for the region, I want it to be this region display where it has the 2-digit code and the description together. So that's what they'll see in the dropdown, but in the background, I want it to only grab the 2-digit region code to load. I'm going to say show only unique label fields again, but this time I need to add a filter because I only want to see it when the country column is equal to whatever they selected on the form. So I'm going to pick country. Now, because I said that I want the value for country to be the 2 digits, I need to make sure I pick that same field that's the value. I don't want to put description because it's going to be looking for US instead of United States. I'm going to pick country. I'm going to say is equal to. And then over here, I'm going to pick my form name field. So my field, the form is country. So you'd have to find it and you'll click that. So now it's going to say where country on the SharePoint list is equal to what they selected on the form in the country field. So I'm going to click OK. You can see the filter down here. I'm going to click OK. Now the options 1 and 2 are gone. I'm going to go back to my solution tab and I'm going to deploy it. Click OK here so we can test it and launch the form. Now, if I click country, I only see the 3. If I pick Canada, now for region, I only see the Canadian states or regions. If I change it to United States, now I see all of the United States or regions. And I also added Mexico. So again, these all changed to the Mexico state regions. So it's as simple as that. I hope you learned something new with this video, and thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye and have a great day.